Got an article today here from ZeroHedge.com by Tyler Durden. Treason. Barr finds government power was used to spy on American citizens. In his first pair of interviews since being sworn in, Attorney General Barr told Fox News and WSJ that he was pursuing the investigations into the origins of the Trump-Russia probe, an investigation he has tasked John Durham, the U.S. Attorney from Connecticut, with leading, because Americans need to know whether the government put a thumb on the scale to try to undermine President Trump both during the campaign and during the first 2 years of his term, just like we need to ensure that foreign actors don't influence the outcome of our elections. Separately, he told WSJ that the government power was used to spy on American citizens. I can't imagine any world where we wouldn't take a look and make sure that that was done properly. Now, Barr has doubled down on using the term spying, which has angered the Democrats, after first using it during a Senate committee testimony from April 10th, where he uttered the now infamous phrase, "I think spying did occur."
For the same reason we're worried about foreign influence in elections. We want to make sure that during an election, I think spying on a political campaign is a big deal. It's a big deal. Generation I grew up in, which was the Vietnam War period, people were all concerned about spying on anti-war people and so forth by the government. And there were a lot of rules put in place to make sure that there's an adequate basis before our law enforcement agencies get involved in political surveillance. I'm not suggesting that those rules were violated, but I think it's important to look at that. And I'm not talking about the FBI necessarily, but intelligence agencies more broadly.
So you're not suggesting, though, that spying occurred?
I don't. I guess you could. I think spying did occur. Yes, I think spying did occur.
Well, let me.
But the question is whether it was adequately predicated, and I'm not suggesting it wasn't adequately predicated, but I need to explore that. I think it's my obligation. Congress is usually very concerned about intelligence agencies and law enforcement agencies staying in their proper lane, and I want to make sure that happened. We have a lot of rules about that, and I want to say that I've said I'm reviewing this. I haven't set up a team yet, but I have in mind having some colleagues help me pull all this information together and let me know whether there's some areas that should be looked at. And
the AG has declined to elaborate on what prompted these concerns, though he has said he'd be interested to see the underlying intelligence that sparked the FBI decision in the summer of 2016 to open a counterintelligence investigation. At this point, Durham's review isn't a criminal investigation, and Barr hasn't offered a timetable for when the investigation might be completed. Ultimately, the probe could lead to the changing FBI protocols involving investigations into political campaigns. Appearing to respond to Barr's interview, President Trump declared that his campaign was conclusively spied on. "My campaign for president was conclusively spied on. Nothing like this has ever happened in American politics. A really bad situation. Treason means long jail sentences, and this was treason." This came at 7:11 a.m. on May 17th, 2019. As far as we know, the FBI started investigating the campaign after an Australian ambassador told his superiors that George Papadopoulos had appeared to know about Russia plans to release dirt on Hillary Clinton. The FBI later sent an informant, Stephen Halper, and a woman who identified herself as a research assistant to meet with Papadopoulos and push him to say whether Russia was helping the Trump campaign. Let's watch this interview from Fox News right here.
For his first interview since joining the Trump administration. He has been under fire, of course, and the two addressed the summary of the Mueller report, his vow to investigate the origins of that Russia probe now. Bill Hemmer joins me from El Salvador with a preview of the interview airing tomorrow morning on America's Newsroom. Great to have you here, Bill, tonight. Tell me what Mr. Barr had to say.
Martha. That is very interesting. He came here to talk about immigration and the crackdown on MS-13 and fighting criminal gangs. That was the purpose for this trip. And he was blocked throughout the entire day, Martha, with a schedule that went from law enforcement agency all the way up to the Attorney General's office here in the country of El Salvador. About an hour ago, we sat down for about 20 minutes at a prison 30 miles west of the capital city, San Salvador. It is hot. It is steamy down here this time of year, Martha. And I do believe the overall impression he was trying to relay to us is that when he took the job a few months ago, he asked a lot of questions and kept asking questions and did not get answers that essentially added up. Here is how he phrased it just about an hour ago.
I've been trying to get answers to questions, and I found that a lot of the answers have been inadequate, and I've also found that some of the explanations I've gotten don't hang together. So in a sense, I have more questions today than I did when I first started.
Some of what things don't hang together?
Some of the explanations of what occurred.
Why does that matter?
Because I think people have to find out what the government was doing during that period. If we're worried about foreign influence, for the very same reason, we should be worried about whether government officials abused their power and put their thumb on the scale. And so I'm not saying that happened, but I'm saying that we have to look at that.
That phrase, "don't hang together," is something I really want to impress upon you, Martha, and our viewers. He's used it several times in this trip already. So what does that mean? A very specific question, you'll hear the rest of the context tomorrow when we air the entire interview, is the following. Between Election Day of November 2016 and the inauguration, what decisions were made within the Obama administration and the intel community that perhaps may have justified the actions they took? And the one example he would say, Martha, was the Trump Tower meeting on January 6th. He clearly has a lot of questions about that. Beyond that, not a lot of specifics. However, he responds to the accusations of lying before Congress, the contempt before Congress, the obstruction allegation that he did not go forward with, the question about witness tampering. So we get into all this, and he talks about James Comey as well. I think there's a lot of new material in this interview that he has not given just yet. Until the first, as you mentioned, television interview he has given as AG.
Well, we look forward to that because James Comey said about Attorney General Barr, I think he has lost most of his reputation. It's very clear that James Comey does not like where this Attorney General is poking around.
I will tell you, the interview ended on that very question, and his answer was interesting. He pretty much suggested that not a lot of people are going to care about him in the end. He clearly believes he is now the target of a Democratic-led House. And, Martha, he expected that when he took the job. Very interesting stuff, and a lot more throughout this interview coming up.
Fascinating, Bill. We all are looking forward to seeing it. Great job, and thanks for sharing that little sneak peek with us this evening. And we'll be watching tomorrow. Safe home. Thank you very much.